You have a child up here, don't you?
I could have. Yes. My house fronts Highway 421 North, and I have lived in the ETJ of the town of Boone since it reached out to zone this area. I, for one, am overjoyed that the zoning control exercised by the town of Boone over my property has been abolished. Let me try to be concise with my reasons. The principle of ETJ is inherently unfair by allowing regulation without representation. People living in the ETJ were expected to relinquish their votes on zoning to people appointed by the Boone Town Council to a committee organized by the Boone Town Council. In addition, the Town Council has repeatedly rebuffed the appointments made by the county commissioners. 2, the restrictive zoning regulations enforced by the Boone Town Council limited the property owner's right to use his land as he sees fit within the parameters of law. 3, the Boone Town Council has granted itself the power to override all committee suggestions, to decide the matter of variances, and to be the final arbiter of land use within the ETJ. 4, last but not least, I personally think the Boone Town Council has done a poor job of regulating land use every chance it has had. The council has refused to recognize Boone as the commercial, educational, and medical center that it is. I offer the empty storefronts, the vacant shells of buildings, the cleared RC lot, and the old high school property as evidence. In addition, they failed to build a much-needed parking deck downtown when they had the opportunity. The town council is perpetuating the status quo and is enforcing an architectural style that could be called creeping seediness. With the town council doing such a poor job as it has done, why would I voluntarily choose to accept regulations? Thank you. Mr. Plato.
Rick?
Thank you for hearing my concerns tonight as an ETJ property owner and also as a real estate broker. As a broker, I'm very concerned about property values declining as a result of incompatible development in areas of single-family homes. The unknown is a hard sell to a buyer. For example, I have a buyer interested in a really nice house zoned R1 surrounded by 3 acres of undeveloped land. Today, this surrounding land could only be developed into single-family residences. Starting January 1st, this property could be a large multi-family complex, a restaurant, manufacturing facility, really almost anything. As a realtor, I have to let the buyer know that almost any kind of development could be built right next to them. I have read the high impact land use ordinance and do not believe it could be amended effectively to prevent incompatible land uses. Buyers simply will choose to buy elsewhere, leaving ETJ properties on the market for longer and most likely selling for less money. This hurts the citizens of the ETJ, as a home purchase is often the largest investment a person makes. Unless you are living in a neighborhood with deed restrictions, there aren't any protections for you starting January 1st. In fact, I have a client here today who's trying to sell her house in the ETJ. She's very concerned about her ability to sell her house with lack of land use regulations. And as a homeowner, I worry about having rental properties in my neighborhood become party houses. No one called, emailed, wrote a letter asking me if I was unhappy with the town of Boone regulations. I ask you to please form a planning committee comprised of ETJ residents to get real input from the people that this bill affects. Ask this, that you do not allow any development of incompatible uses in single-family neighborhoods until zoning regulations are put into place, and I'll happily serve on any committee. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Matthew Mellon. I'm a software engineer at ECRS, and I've been a resident of, I moved to Boone in 1998 to go to college here, and I built a house in the ETJ 9 years ago, and my wife and my 4 children and I live there. And I I live in the northern Homespun Hills neighborhood, and it's a special place. It's a place where my children, the neighbors' children, and the neighbors' children can play outside, roam the neighborhood. It's a safe neighborhood, everybody knows each other, and there isn't a lot of incompatible development, and it's an R1 zone neighborhood, and we have a very large neighbor, the university, that owns a significant chunk of property in the neighborhood, and they don't seem to be interested in using it for single-family residential development. In the past, the town has cooperated with residents of the neighborhood homeowners and has advocated for our position of needing to maintain the character of the neighborhood. And really to maintain the character of our neighborhood, it can't be done without some sort of responsible land use regulation. And since the town is no longer responsible for land use regulation in our neighborhood, it falls on your shoulders. And we really are relying on you guys to do the right thing and to protect our quality of life, our children's quality of life, and our property values. And thank you for your time.
Matthew. Just making sure. Jeff Templeton.
Good evening. Thanks for allowing us to speak to you on this matter. I applaud my fellow ETJ citizens for working together to seek regulations that protect their neighborhoods from undesirable development. But as a resident of the soon-to-be former ETJ, I would ask that when considering any new regulations, the commissioners avoid using a one-size-fits-all approach. You see, some of the protections being sought by the established neighborhoods in the ETJ actually devalue the undeveloped properties and farmlands that make up a majority of the ETJ zone. To that end, I would suggest that the commissioners abandon the existing ETJ boundaries as established by the town of Boone and instead work with the neighborhoods to create a new zoning area that will give them the protections they seek without harming the rest of us. And I'd also like to say I would be in favor of a 2-year moratorium on the high polluting industry. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you.